My name is Jenan Mohajir. I graduated in 2002, and my major was education. I4C is a national nonprofit that primarily works in the sectors of higher education, and we focus on how to engage religious diversity on campus, specifically thinking about the entire ecology of the university. So how our students thinking about it, how our co-curricular programs thinking about interfaith cooperation, how our faculty and staff thinking about it. So it's really sort of a holistic view of how to engage religious diversity on a campus. We also are focusing on thinking about the large narrative around interfaith cooperation in the country in this particular moment, given the polarization that we're seeing politically. We focus a lot on bringing people together and building bridges, and that's primarily the sort of bread and butter of what we do. I think for us, our work is really about how do we connect people, bring people together, and provide a space, provide a brave space where people are able to come as who they are, come as their full selves, and also engage one another across deep differences or deep lines of difference. And we're not, we don't have like a kumbaya, like you're going to save the world if you get together and share your story kind of attitude. But I do think that there's seeds that you can sow that will allow people to move beyond the social media, political polarization aspect. And it becomes a lot harder to deny somebody's humanity when you're in conversation with them. So I've been at I4C for 14 years. I joined it a few years after I graduated college. And the joke around the office when I first came to my professional life at I4C was I was the Muslim girl who found Islam at a Catholic university. I wasn't particularly religious when I went to DePaul. I didn't cover my hair or practice Islam in a very ritualistic way. I was more of a cultural Muslim. And I think being at DePaul, specifically being more involved in DePaul's community service and sort of volunteer opportunities gave me a language with which to go back to my own faith tradition. So because of DePaul's Catholic commitments to the community that it sits in, it gave me a way to think about what are my commitments as a Muslim, and in some ways triggered for me to be more religiously present and to own my identity in a more, in a stronger way. I4C recently hosted a panel with a number of two college presidents who were Black women, and then another college or seminary vice president who was a Black male, and we kind of asked them similar questions to what you're asking me, which is like, what is important in this moment for higher education? What are things that we should be highlighting? And it was interesting because one of the women said, how she is always cognizant of the fact that liberal arts education or higher education wasn't particularly a space that was created for Black people and people of color, right? It's something that has become open to folks as our country has moved forward, but it wasn't a space where those folks were in mind when those systems were designed. So the questions I have about what it's important to keep front of mind as you're rewriting a statement, a mission statement, is what does that look like now? Like if you have the power to focus what an institution looks like and works like, how do you sort of break that cycle and bring that front of mind in terms of saying, okay, we weren't created for this group of people, but how do we now shift the way that we function so that this group of people is intrinsically part of who we are and not necessarily a quota that we fill?